Carroll Beach is a really pretty community with a lot of unique homes right on the lakefront of Lake Michigan in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Mark and Julie Jensen were well off. Mark made very good money as an investment advisor. Julie was a stay-at-home mom and took care of their older son until their next son was born, and then continued with the two boys.
It was 3 weeks before Christmas when the sounds of sirens told Julie and Mark's neighbors something horrible had happened.
Today's Thursday, December 3rd. We are here at the Jensen home. We were called this afternoon for a death investigation. Now going down the hallway to the room.
An otherwise healthy 40-year-old woman was found dead in her bed by her husband with her two young sons who were waiting outside.
I'm in the bedroom.
I saw Julie Jensen laying in bed, largely covered by bed covers. It appeared as though she'd been laying on her back, and then she was rolled into this position kind of onto her side. She'd been sick for 3 days, and that morning, according to Mark Jensen, Julie was unable to get out of bed.
Kitchen area, there's a cabinet with a lot of prescription items in them.
There was a prescription for Ambien that had been obtained, and Julie had obtained a prescription for Paxil.
A drug prescribed for the treatment of depression.
We will be taking all of that.
We basically seized everything, and we seized the computer. And the computer is really how we ended up determining the cause and manner of death in this case.
The autopsy done the next day had failed to determine the cause of death, calling it pending.
Well, it's quite damaging to a criminal investigation, because if you don't even know what caused the death, then you can't take the next step to determine the manner of death. Is it an accident? Is it a suicide? Is it a homicide?
It would take years to get a final determination of how Julie Jensen died, and only after unearthing some dark family secrets.
We went way back to 1990, 1991, because that's when there was marital difficulties for the Jensens.
Sometime in 1990, Julie had a one-night sexual relationship with one of her co-workers while Mark was out of town. She confessed that to Mark, and after deciding not to divorce and instead to stay in the marriage, someone began harassing and stalking Julie Jensen by leaving pornographic photos around the house, sometimes hang-up phone calls even when Mark was home. And she kept a log, and it was very, very lengthy, many, many, many pages long. And this kind of emotional torture, this psychological torture, went on for almost 7 or 8 years.
Julie finally went to see the family doctor. It was December 1st of 1998.
And that's when she essentially was telling the doctor, I'm depressed and miserable. And that was just days before her death, where she made those statements to the doctor.
It was on the day after Julie's body was discovered that investigators got their first break in the case.
Law enforcement was handed a letter, a sealed envelope, from one of the neighbors. The neighbor said Julie had given this to him a week and a half or so before she died, and she told him, if anything happens to me, give this to the police.
The letter was quite revealing. In that letter, Julie talks about her fears about her husband, that she fears that he may do something to harm her. She says that their relationship has deteriorated to the polite superficial. She expressly states in the letter that she would never harm herself, that she would never leave her two sons without a mother. She took a photograph of a Post-it note that she found in his day planner that alerted her or aroused her suspicion. The note was written in Mark's handwriting, and in the list it says own drug supply, Librium, bag hands, syringe, So it certainly seemed that Mark Jensen was making a list of potential ways to murder someone.
But just as important for the investigation was what was found on the family computer.
The internet searches consisted of searches for ways to kill someone, searches for botulism, pipe bombs, a lot of unusual searches for a family home computer, especially where half the family consists of a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old.
And one internet search in particular caught the attention of investigators.
It was discovered that someone had been searching for ethylene glycol poisoning.
Ethylene glycol is the primary constituent element of antifreeze. Ethylene glycol is a very, very uncomfortable way to die because you become sicker and sicker and sicker. You start to have cardiac arrhythmia, you start to have difficulty breathing, and then ultimately your organs shut down and you die. It's a horrible, horrible way to die.
Ethylene glycol is not tested for at autopsy. That's a very rare thing. So unless there's a reason to test for it, it's not tested for.
So we asked the medical examiner to conduct another evaluation, and they found ethylene glycol in her blood, they found ethylene glycol in her stomach, and they found ethylene glycol in her urine, which was contrary to what the first lab had found.
I mean, it was a huge moment because, again, people should not have ethylene glycol in their system. So at that point, it's either going to be a very strange suicide or it's going to be a homicide.
4 months after Julie's death, lead detective Paul Retzberg brought Mark Jensen in for questioning.
You know, I was going through things here this morning, and I'm a little...
Mark didn't have to come in for that interview. He was not in custody at that point. He came in on his own, and he was just going to come in to try to clear up some minor details.
Retzberg had been one of the detectives who years earlier responded to Julie's complaints about the pornographic pictures.
And I said, well, there's one way we can find out for sure. What you need to do is get some handwriting samples of Mark. And she did. She got some of your notes around the house and all that stuff. Gave them to Officer Cosman. Officer Cosman ran them up to the crime lab, and the crime lab came back and said it was your handwriting on the photographs. And if you recall, at that point, we kind of ended the investigation because we told Julie that, Julie, if you want to proceed with it, it's between you and Mark. So you were the one that was leaving the photographs around the house. That we're sure of.
You guys thought I was making phone calls in the pictures.
But you're telling me you never left them photographs around in the crime labs.
Well,
The crime lab draw. That's what you're saying to me.
in terms of me doing all the photos, yes.
Guess what?
Yeah, I mean, they're wrong, that I was leaving the photos out there.
It wasn't you.
It wasn't me.
But Detective Retzberg was far from through with his questions for Mark Jensen.
We have a term for detectives like that. We call them pit bulls because once they latch onto something, they are passionate about it. And I think Paul showed his passion on this case.
Did you go up there and kill her or something like that?
No.
It was a sad Christmas at the Jensen home in Wisconsin, following Julie's death in early December. But by the beginning of January, a new woman began to show up, Kelly Labonte.
We saw in the emails that Kelly Labonte is coming to Wisconsin to visit Mark Jensen.
She moves in shortly after Julie's death as if nothing had happened. According to the family, she almost takes Julie's place in the home.
Was Kelly a girlfriend of yours? Or?
No, it's a friend.
When I watched that interview with Mark Jensen, he could not even admit the truth that he was involved with this woman, Kelly Labonte.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that maybe this Kelly Labonte was, Julie had an affair before, and I thought maybe you two would be having an affair here with Kelly. Or maybe have you seen her now, Kelly, at all?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's your girlfriend now, or at least somebody you're dating?
Friends
Would that be a fair statement of dating, or what do you
I
mean?
guess you would call it maybe a date. anything, but, you know, that's, you know, she's a friend of getting around together, but, yeah.
So before Julie's death, you didn't have any type of, you had limited contact with her?
Right.
But the detective knew that 3 months before Julie's death, Kelly had emailed Mark, IDLY, I do love you. Even more now, but no surprise. You are too wonderful for words.
You know, as you know, I got your computer. And what was real curious to me, this is a printout of what was on the computer. Okay, quite a bit here. And I noticed a lot here on poison information. I remember you telling me that she didn't do anything at all with the computer. Do you think at some point she was getting poisoned or something, or once all this right? No idea what any other said. Well, come through it. There's a lot here. You didn't call up any of this stuff, specific poisoning information, and
So the investigation had to focus on who used the home computer. Certainly, if Julie Jensen had been using the home computer, it could suggest that she committed suicide.
But several of the key searches were conducted in the 2 days before she died.
So while Julie Jensen is incapable of even sitting up in bed by herself, someone is down the hall, in the den, on the home computer, searching for the symptoms of ethylene glycol poisoning and tracking the symptoms of ethylene glycol poisoning.
Since Julie's death, the medical examiner had advanced the theory that not only was she poisoned, but that Julie may have been smothered.
you need like somebody choked her or put a pillow over her face and smothered her. So the only person that could have caused her death would have been you, okay? Nothing like that occurred, you're sure? Okay. Then how do we explain her death? You're the only one there. You were the only one there, and you leave, she's alive. You come back, she's passed away.
That's what I learned, yeah.
That's a chess game, and Detective Ratsburg played it perfect.
Read this. This is the one your wife left me and Officer Rothhaus.
You see Detective Ratsburg finally confront Mark with that Julie's letter, the letter from the grave, as they say.
You could see the expression on his face change. You can see the wheels start spinning in his head, that he had no idea that Julie was on to him, that she suspected him.
It's her handwriting, right? Right? I mean, there's nobody else's handwriting there. I don't know, I wasn't there. But there's something, you had to do something. Okay? You had to, Mark. I mean, she just didn't die naturally. I'm not a doctor, not an expert on it. But you had to do something to cause her death, Mark. You're the only person that was there, and you're the only person that could have done anything. Well, how can I explain this to somebody else? We have, here we got, then Julie leaves us a letter, which I believe is somewhere a week before. And, you know, I'm not making this up. This is true evidence. And here we have Julie Jensen telling me that if she dies, you're the person that did it. Okay? We have a rocky marriage. You know, and I'm not sure whether to believe you here or not, because you kind of just led me here on some of this other stuff. A 41-year-old young female does just not stop breathing. You had to do something, Mark. I wasn't there, you were. You need to tell me what happened to her so I can get this matter cleared up. Be honest with me, be straight with me, Mark. Be a man. Tell me what happened to her. I need to know. What happened? Mark, there's no question about that. You were the only one there. I mean, look at the evidence that's here. I went through it kind of diligently with you. Tell me, what took place?
Nothing more than what I thought.
You didn't get on top of her? No. You did something. I need to know what. Be truthful with me, Mark. You had to do
nothing.
Then how she stopped breathing, Mark? I don't know. I honestly don't know. She didn't stop breathing by herself. It doesn't happen that way.
When I watched that interview with Mark Jensen, I thought he was guilty and that he was a liar.
But Mark consistently denied he had killed his wife, and without a confession, prosecutors felt they had no choice but to let him leave and go home.
In March of 2002, the unanimous assessment was that we just didn't have enough evidence to charge this case out. I had a young woman dead. The actual cause of death at that point appeared to be ethylene glycol poisoning, which predominantly was done by suicide, not by homicide. And I had years-long campaign of harassment that Mark Jensen categorically denied that he was responsible for. It was as good as it was going to get. The tipping point was I saw the photograph in the newspaper that Mark and Kelly Labonte had announced that their engagement. So I saw that, and I saw victim number 2 coming down the pike here. I thought that if things don't go my way, at least I've warned Kelly Labonte, and I've warned Mark Jensen, we're looking at you, and you're not going to get away with this if you do it again. So in March of 2002, I charged Mark Jensen with first-degree intentional homicide for the murder of his wife, Julie.
Jensen was able to post bond and return home, continuing to raise his 2 sons, David and Douglas.
They spent their entire childhood essentially with their dad and then with Kelly Labonte, who then moved into their home and then became their stepmother. You know, all the while being told that their mother committed suicide. And then as we get to the trial, they're told, no, not only did your mom commit suicide, but she arranged it so that it would look like dad killed her.
It took 6 years for the case to go to trial because of a legal dispute over the centerpiece of the prosecution case, Julie's so-called letter from the grave.
The admissibility of the letter was heavily litigated. The state wanted it in, the defense did not.
At issue was what's called the Confrontation Clause in the United States Constitution.
The Confrontation Clause says that the accused has the right to confront the witnesses against him. And Mark's argument had been that, hey, Julie's letter is a statement, and I can't confront this witness. I can't because she's dead.
If the defense is going to say Julie Jensen is suicidal, then Julie Jensen should be able to say that she is not.
Judge Schrader concluded that Mark Jensen had forfeited his right to cross-examine Julie Jensen, so therefore the letter was admitted into evidence against him. And the letter played a very significant role.
Julie took that letter and she folded it up in an envelope and she said, hold on to this for me, and if anything happens to me, give it to the police.
Mark Jensen was found guilty after a 7-week trial.
After the verdict, the jurors were asked what was the most important piece of evidence, and they all said that it was the letter.
I have sentenced scores of people. You contemplated and planned and plotted this cruel method of execution for so long a period of time. The wickedness and cruelty of the manner of death that you elected in this case speak to the content of your character. There are a limited number of people who would do something like that, and those people are people that we need to remove from society. So unless there is some reason why sentence should not now be pronounced, I'll ask that you stand for sentence, please. Mr. Jensen, it is the sentence of the court that your custody be committed to the Department of Corrections for confinement in the Wisconsin state prisons without possibility of parole for the remainder of your life.
And then 3 years later, a federal district judge orders a new trial.
The letter should not have been admitted.
It's a terrible phone call to have to make to the victims, to the family. But in terms of his case, he was once again presumed innocent.
That decision from the federal court was a huge, huge blow. Just the idea of having to retry this case after so many years.
You know, when you're facing the other challenge of having that one piece of critical evidence thrown out, that's another big challenge.
But it would be a second chance for Mark Jensen to prove his innocence.
I think he thought without the letter that he could just convince everyone that she committed suicide. He thought he could beat it.
Into the case of Wisconsin versus Mark Jensen. This is a retrial, his retrial for the man accused of poisoning his wife with antifreeze back in 1998.
I thought Mark Jensen looked just as smug as he did the first time. A little bit older, but otherwise just as smug and arrogant as he was the first time, in thinking that this time he'd get away with it.
Former District Attorney Robert Jamboys had retired, but he wanted to come back for this trial.
This happened on my watch. I was going to make sure that justice was done in this case.
Adding his wife Beverly, also a lawyer, to help shape a case without the use of Julie's so-called letter from the grave.
I told my husband, I really don't think you need the letter. There's so much evidence against this guy, and let's just do it.
Is the state ready to proceed with their opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. McNeil.
Carly McNeil is the Deputy District Attorney in Kenosha County.
This is Julie Jensen. She's with her two sons, David, the older boy, and Douglas, the little boy.
The prosecutor told the jury that the family computer from 1998 would be at the center of the case.
You'll see in this computer evidence the research into websites about poisoning, and then specifically ethylene glycol poisoning. From the evidence, we know that the person doing this internet research, that's the person who killed Julie Jensen. And we know from the evidence that that person was not Julie. It was the defendant.
Jensen watched, showing no emotion, wearing earphones because of a hearing issue.
And as Julie lay dying that morning of December 3rd, 1998, he went to the computer room, and that morning, he searched for ethylene glycol poisoning. You can see the search term on the bottom of the screen here. This is Julie Jensen. She didn't kill herself. She lived for her kids, and she died because the defendant murdered her.
The defense is going to do their opening statement. Attorney Renner, you can proceed anytime you're ready.
Thank you.
Mackenzie Renner was assigned to the defense from the County Public Defender's Office.
What brings us here today is Julie Jensen's suicide. The suicide of a woman who was in declining mental health. At the very end of this trial, you're going to be asked to answer one question. Did the state prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Jensen caused Julie's death? Or did they prove to you that Mark Jensen wasn't a great husband and was kind of a jerk? Because those are two very different things. Let's talk a little bit more about this computer evidence. Doesn't take the most intelligence to pop up a search engine and type in some words. The evidence in this case is absolutely going to show that Ms. Jensen was suicidal. The evidence is going to show that Mr. Jensen, while not being perfect, is not a murderer. He is innocent, and he is not guilty.
The state can call their first witness.
State calls Ruth Thorwald to the stand.
Ruth Vorwald was a neighbor and close friend of Julie's, members of the same book club.
So we did start this new case with Ruth Vorwald because, you know, she still had an emotional reaction to Julie's death.
It was just shocking, and it just broke my heart. I mean, I was a young mother with 2 young boys. She was a young mother with 2 young boys, and it's like, how is this possible?
Did you attend Julie's wake?
Yes. And he was literally standing 5 feet from her casket, laughing and joking with a group of men the entire time. He just lost his wife, the mother of his children, and he's acting like he's at a cocktail party. It was upsetting.
And then a school teacher for Julie's son, Teresa DeFazio, who said Julie had confided in her at a parent-teacher conference.
She was worried that he was going to try and kill her with an overdose of some kind of drug.
When you're having this conversation about Ms. Jensen's fear about her husband killing her, was the idea of suicide ever brought up?
She never mentioned suicide, no.
And did she ever say anything to you about whether she would commit suicide?
Oh, she said to me that she was doing all of this to protect her relationship with her kids, because she said, I would never leave my children.
The prosecution theory of Mark Jensen's motive centered on the women with whom he was having an affair and then married after Julie's death.
Kelly Jensen, or Brooks.
He had a new woman in his life. So it made it very clear what Mark Jensen's motive was.
They had a child together, but divorced after he was convicted in the first trial.
Do you recall the first time that you and the defendant had sexual relations of any sort?
It would have been, I believe, around September.
September of 1998?
Yes.
It was 3 months before Julie died.
And so then on Friday, October 16th, 1998 at 9:21 a.m., he emails you, hey, want to run off somewhere? I do love you.
Yes.
All right, and so what is your response then?
Considering you have a milestone birthday next year and we would both need some time to clean up our lives, so to speak, I was thinking what a lovely way to spend your birthday. You, me, sunsets, ocean, champagne, no outside issues.
So when you're considering whether this cruise can be a reality, you got to clean up your lives first.
Right.
The state calls Edward Klug.
All right, let's have him come in.
Edward Klug, who didn't come forward for many years after Julie Jensen's death, ultimately told us he and Mark got drunk. They were complaining about their wives, and Mark Jensen informed Ed Klug that there are ways to kill your wife that are undetectable at autopsy.
Basically, you know, the websites that you could go to search how to kill your wife. And it was just like the craziest thing that I ever heard, that, you know, an educated person would say something like that.
Okay, and so what do you remember him mentioning in terms of the kinds of things he was looking up?
Sure. He was looking up poison, and he was telling me that you could get items that would be non-detectable in a normal autopsy. He was looking at ways that, you know, he would put somebody to sleep, you know, and put something in. He said you could put it in drinks, have them drink it.
And did he mention any other substances?
He said like ethylene glycol, and I didn't know what ethylene glycol was. And then it's antifreeze.
What was the problem that Mark Jensen had in his life when he was saying these things to you?
Well, the problem was he didn't want to pay maintenance. He, you know, wanted to have everything and have his new friend Kelly move in with him.
And to be clear, it was not you and Mark mutually talking about killing your wives?
That's correct. I was not planning on killing my wife.
Mr. Klug, can you tell us why you didn't tell the police or prosecutors or someone in authority about this conversation?
I was scared of Mark. I was scared of the fact that if he killed his wife, what could happen to me?
The next witness for the state is Aaron Dillard.
So, Mr. Dillard, you're wearing prison clothes, is that correct?
That's correct.
So you're an inmate right now?
Yes, I am.
Dillard and Mark Jensen were in the Kenosha County Jail at the same time after Jensen was first arrested.
Aaron Dillard told us that Mark confessed that he put the ethylene glycol in Julie's juice.
And he was kind of trying to make it look like she was trying to commit suicide.
And did he tell you what happened next after that?
Yeah, at that point he had her on her side. Then he rolled her on her stomach, and he was seeing how she was doing then, and she wasn't breathing any. She was breathing the same. She wasn't breathing any worse. So at that point he felt nervous and figured he had to do something on his own, and he sat on her back and then pressed her face into the pillow.
Did he tell you what happened when he sat on her and with her face pushed into the pillow?
Yeah, she passed away.
Typically, I don't rely on jailhouse informants, but there was no way that an inmate could have come up with this information unless Mark Jensen told it to him.
Mr. Perry, you can start your cross.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Dillard, you agree you're a con man, don't you?
Yes.
You testified that you have a special skill set. Do you remember that?
I don't know if it was a special skill set, but it was just I was able to get people to talk or get things that I wanted.
That's what caused you to decide to push for information so that you could tell your attorney and get a deal.
Well, it was first I was trying to see how far he would go, and then he went. So then I decided to use it to help myself.
And you said, Mark, how did you get the antifreeze? And then he just gave you a full confession.
Pretty much worked out like that. He told me about the Edward Klug thing and then went into the rest of it.
Now, there's another deal for you for your testimony today, isn't there?
I don't know if it's a deal or not. It's just their prosecution's going to write a letter saying I testified truthfully.
Truthfully, as determined by Mr. Jamboys as it was in 2008.
The truth is the truth.
And in that case, you got no jail.
Correct.
After getting that letter.
Correct.
No further questions.
Good morning. It's nice to see all the jurors back this morning. Seeing that it's already week 4 of the trial, everybody is still here.
Our next witness will be Dr. Sarah West.
The defense case depended largely on its expert's testimony about Julie Jensen's mental state, referring to a description of Julie's sleep problems found in her doctor's notes as a sign of clinical depression.
One would look at both people who sleep too much and aren't sleeping at all.
In your estimation, as a forensic psychiatrist in this matter, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to Julie Jensen's suicide risk?
I do.
And what is that opinion?
It is my opinion with a reasonable degree of medical certainty that Miss Jensen on December 3rd, 1998 was at high risk for suicide.
But on cross-examination, prosecutor Bob Jamboys focused on the fact that it was Mark who had noted the sleep problems in the doctor's report.
So the only issue about sleep problems didn't come from Julie Jensen, did it?
That's correct. It came from Mark Jensen.
Yes, Mark Jensen. And you know, Mark Jensen, in addition to her being a husband, is also a murder suspect in this case. You're aware of that, correct?
He was not at the time.
Well, actually, he was. His wife, Julie Jensen, suspected that Mark was trying to murder her. You were aware of that, weren't you?
Yes, but he was not a murder suspect on December 1st, 1998.
Well, his wife suspected that he was trying to kill her, right?
Yes.
No further questions.
All right. You're excused. Thank you. Who's our next witness?
It's David Jensen. David, can you tell us who your parents are?
Mark Jensen and Julie Jensen.
He didn't testify at the first trial, but now as an adult, he was called by the defense.
And how old were you when Julie Jensen passed away?
I was 8 years old.
David was asked to recall the day his mother was found dead in her bedroom.
At some point, did your dad come back down that hallway?
Yeah, yes. I don't remember how long exactly it was, but he came out crying not terribly long after he went down.
David, when you saw your dad coming down that hallway, sobbing or crying, had you ever seen him that way before?
That was the first time I'd seen him cry.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
All right, you're excused. Thank you.
When I was watching David testify, I was thinking how immensely proud Julie would be of this young man. He came across as a very kind, loving person.
The issue was brought up of whether the defendant was going to testify or not. All right. Have you made a decision?
I have.
Do you understand that the decision whether to testify is for you to make?
I do.
And what is your decision?
I elect not to testify.
You're not going to testify?
Correct.
All right. Ms. McNeil, you can do your closing argument.
Good morning, everyone. 2023, this year, is the 25th year stolen from Julie Jensen. With her death, Julie Jensen lost David and Douglas. And in death now, nearly 25 years later, she's labeled as crazy. We're having a whole trial on the topic of whether Julie's crazy. Mark Jensen, who had tormented and punished and never forgiven his wife for years, found her replacement and then killed her. He thought he could trick Julie and the police, and honestly, if it ever came down to it, a jury. You'll believe Julie, and you'll find the defendant guilty.
Mr. Perry, you can start whenever you're ready.
So, who was Julie Jensen? We heard from witnesses that Julie Jensen was a lovely human being. We heard from witnesses that she was a devoted mother. But you can be lovely and you can be devoted to your kids and you can be mentally ill. And Julie Jensen was mentally ill. She had a major depressive disorder and was at high risk of suicide. This case is tragic on so many levels. There's depression, there's suicide, and there's an innocent man on trial for homicide. Mark Jensen is innocent, and we ask you to return a verdict of not guilty.
The jurors that did deliberate have informed the bailiff that they have a verdict. I'll ask the foreperson who has the verdict. Is that correct? We, the jury, find the defendant, Mark D. Jensen, guilty of intentional homicide of first degree as charged in the information.
I was elated. I was absolutely elated and deeply gratified.
Neither of Mark Jensen's grown sons came to the sentencing, but his younger, Doug, now 28, sent the court a letter.
He said that his mother was erased from his life. He said he learned more about his mother while listening to the trial than he had ever heard before. That is a terrible tragedy, and that's what the defendant did to his own kids. And I'm asking the court to impose a life sentence without parole. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Jensen.
I have always tried to make a difference and do everything I could the right way.
Jensen offered no acknowledgement or remorse for the murder of Julie, focusing only on his sons.
While in prison, I made every effort to continue to be there for my sons. Doug is hurting. I can tell that from the letter he wrote to the court. I wish I could take that hurt away, but I can't. Please grant parole eligibility so that the family and I can move forward and heal. I can work to understand and find acceptance with the verdict. I can be there for my family who needs me. And please provide me the opportunity to show I can continue to do something positive with my life. Thank you.
The prison sentence has to be life in prison. I can't change that. The only issue for the court is whether the defendant will be eligible for parole. What he chose to do is to torture her for a long time. This antifreeze The theory that somebody would drink that to commit suicide, I don't buy that. It was intentional, it was researched with a purpose for evil. He's not getting any parole eligibility. It's too serious of a crime to depreciate. It was too vengeful, no parole, life imprisonment. That is the judgment of the court.
If anybody in the Wisconsin State prison system deserves to be there for the remainder of his days, to be carried out in a box, it's Mark Jensen.
I do hope that the boys, David and Douglas, see this as a final chapter and that they can see that their mother did not commit suicide, that she would not have left them, and that